question you must ask yourself, okay? You must ask yourself, do you want a woman who will let you lead, or are you okay with her leading, or a combination of both? And by leading, I mean defer. I'm not trying to say, ladies, do you want a man who you have to be submissive to? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, fellas, is if you know every time you ask her what she want to eat and she says she don't know, but you know her favorite food is chicken Alfredo, when you ask her if she's hungry and she says yes, you lead y'all to the finish line and you just go ahead and make chicken Alfredo without saying nothing. How do you feel about leading as a male? Or would you prefer to ride shotgun on everything? Because I'm selfish. I love riding shotgun in the car, but if we're doing something, I move so fast that I feel like a lot of times I'm gonna know how to get us from point A to point B the best. But I also take the females, 2 cents, comments, recommendations. I take all of that into consideration.
I think the biggest quality of a good leader is knowing when they need to be in front,
exactly,
and knowing when somebody else needs to be in front. And I say this because, like, again, I'm an only child, so I'm used to doing everything by myself. I'm used to just taking the initiative and doing certain things. And you will find you will get in spaces with other men where it's your space or it may be their space, and you have to know how to navigate that. So an example of when I go to my boy's house, who I was telling you about, Tim has a family, Tim has a wife, Tim has his whole family over. When I come over, I don't need to be the man in charge because that's Tim's space. Tim is the alpha animal in that space.
You would be dumb to try to be a leader in somebody else's space.
But
home.
Well, yes, when it's that, and that's the thing, is like under specific situations. And I like the better example is like when you're in a group of friends, like a lot of times I will post up and I will sit back and I will watch and I will see who's taking the initiative to make things happen. Mm-hmm. And 80% of the time, I end up stepping in to take the initiative because most of the time people just don't really know what they want to do. Somebody has to make a decision. When you talk about partnership, when you talk about leadership in that kind of role, 90% of strong women want to find a man who makes them not have to think about things.
Boom. Defer.
They want you to. You will go a long way when you set up a date, and this is where we start getting into the good stuff. When you start setting up a date for a woman, pick a place, pick a time, pick her up, make it so that she doesn't have to make any kind of decisions. Tell her where you want her, how you want her to dress, and let her know what it is. You will go a long way about that because you are taking initiative. You are being the man. There are specific gender roles in society that I still believe should be taken care of. As a man, you plan dates. You're not being a tyrant and saying this is what we're going to do and you're going to like it. You want her to have some input, but for the most part, you are making a plan. And if y'all deviate from the plan, that's perfectly fine.
That's okay.
But you set one. You had a plan in place.
Yes.
Being amenable is great. Now, there are some women who want to control situations. They want to be in control. And then you have to tread in a very delicate light because what happens is you'll set something up. They'll be like, oh, I kind of want to do this. And then you have to start making decisions because some of these women are kind of testing you. And they don't know that they're testing you, but they are. Are you the kind of man who will just roll over and do whatever she says? Or are you the kind of person who will be amenable and say, okay, well, this is what I was thinking. This is what I think. How about we do this and then we do that? It's a very, very fine line. So you have to have the communication skills and the cognizant understanding of what is the situation being applied here. A lot of times I defer to, hey, look, I want to take you on a date. I'm going to take you to this place, and then we're going to make a reservation. I'm going to go to this place, and then we're going to have a drink over here, and then we'll see where the night goes. And I will tell you, you get a lot out of that. Just being able to plan a date. Because I hear so many stories about girls being like, yeah, he told me he wanted to take me out, and then we went to Applebee's. And there's nothing wrong with Applebee's.
Yes, there is.
No, there's not.
You can make better food at home.
You could, but that would be a plan. That's different. If your plan was like, hey, I want to take you to Applebee's because one of my favorite spots is Applebee's. I really love the lava cake that they have at Applebee's, and I want to share that with you. A woman will respect that.
If one of your favorites, if you like one of my cheap, like I grew up on this, but if you grown person and you love Applebee's, I'm never gonna take a lady to Applebee's.
Okay, and I get that, but when you
Are you gonna ever take a lady to Applebee's?
I'm gonna take one to Applebee's this week just to prove to you of how it can be done.
Whoopsie.
We're going to Applebee's this week.
Don't take no lady.
I'm gonna take a bitch to Applebee's, Will. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take a bitch to Applebee's. No, but I'm saying, listen. It's less about. I've taken women to 5-star restaurants, amikaze style places, and I've had some of the simplest restaurant dates. We've gone to food trucks, and some of those dates have been
awesome.
They've been. It's not about where you go; it's about how you plan the experience.
I get you. I'm talking about quality of food at Applebee's. I'm not talking about.
Even if we're talking about quality of food, like you can find something that's high quality at Applebee's.
Yes, baked chicken.
But it's about the experience, because when you set up an experience, even if it is Applebee's, if you have an intent in mind and you have a reason for it, it can be played off well. Let's just say your reason is you don't have a big budget. Applebee's is your budget. And you don't feel like you don't know how to cook. Let's just play a scenario. And you tell a girl, you say, hey, I want to take you out. I want to experience some things with you. I'm going to take you to a place. It's not fancy. I think we're going to have a good time, and I'll tell you why.
Fellas, for the same amount of money you're going to spend at Applebee's, you can go to a Whole Foods hot bar, and she will love that.
You could. That's a completely different experience, but we're not outweighing the Applebee's experience. That's all I'm saying. Applebee's.
Quality. TGI Friday is minimum.
Okay, fair enough. If we're talking about specifically just the quality of Applebee's,
quality,
I put TGI Fridays and Applebee's and Chili's all in the same boat. They're all the same to me.
That's fair.
They're all the same to me. So, with that being said, it doesn't, like, because we'll have, like, women be like, oh, he wanted to take me to Chili's, he wanted to take me to Applebee's. There's nothing wrong with that if there is an intention behind it, if there is a good reason why this man, because I've taken girls to places I've taken girls to BJ's Brew House. I don't like any of the food at BJ's Brew House.
Yeah.
But it's for an experience. We go because I like their Pizookie. So we go, we're going to sit at the bar, we're going to have a drink, and we're going to eat some dessert. And you know what? It's always a great time. It's always a great time
when you
put a little sugar in them, and then you get a little sugar when you get home. You know?
Whoopsie. Okay. But so what we're talking about from the leader perspective is, like, I'm not saying you have to be a general, but you need to know, like, if she wants to lead or if you're going to have to do that.
Yeah. It's like being president.
Yeah.
The president is not an expert in all the things.
Yeah.
He has people that he defers to. The president has to make a final decision. So you are the president of your partnership. You might have a vice president. Might have a chief of staff, X, Y, and Z, whatever you want to call it. But you want a partner who you can delegate a question or a concern with and have a conversation about it, and then you can make a choice. Because at the end of the day, as a man, you should just have the final.
We're using the word male.
We're using the word male.
Okay. All right. Speaking of males, does beauty matter more than education to you? I think if beauty matters to you, right, and beauty matters to her, then you have to understand that one day she might not feel the same way that she did before, and that may lead to I don't want to say depression or issues, but that may lead to something that you did not foresee coming. So if you are one person who does like beauty over education, that is something that you have to think about. And I think when you're young, you think beauty is the end-all be-all, but I think more times than not, the more successful relationships involve a combination of both.
That's a fair take. I like that take. I will say this.
Bad bitches only?
No. You have to be true to yourself. And being true to yourself knows what is important to you for you to stay, for you to be in a healthy space.
And this is for someone you're serious about.
For someone you're serious about. We're all going to get older. We're all going to do X, Y, and Z. But there is a level of attraction that you have to a partner for you to want to stick around. For most people, it's kind of a thing.
That's cap.
I don't think so.
Blind people?
There has to be a level of attraction. Didn't say physical. A level of attraction that you have to have for a person to get. Because a person doesn't have to be physically beautiful for you to view them as beautiful.
Facts.
And a person can be very beautiful and you view them as unattractive based off their personality. So I think that's the thing. I know myself.
You start touching yourself. What are you gonna say? I know myself too. I know that
I'm a little vain.
A little vain.
I'm a little vain. I know for me.
VEIN or VAIN?
VAIN. I am a little vain. I know myself and I know that there is a certain level of attractiveness that I need in a relationship to make me want to stick around.
Really?
Yes, 100%. And it's less of like what that person looks like and what we look like together.
Exactly.
That's huge for me.
That is huge.
That's huge for me.
Huge.
We have to look. We gotta look good. Huge. It's huge.
Huge.
It's huge. Very important. So yeah.
So do you prefer education or do you prefer beauty?
That's a tough one. If we had to put percentages on it.
Okay.
So like 50-50 is she's a 5.
I'm not.
And
we're
not putting but you had to quantify it somewhere. All right. Which is more important to me at the end of the day? Because you're like saying, can she be smart but look like a bufferilla? Or is she the most gorgeous and she's dumb as a rock? Like what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Either or. You got to give me something, Will. You got to give me something.
I'll give you this. At this point in my life, I look at education as more important than beauty because, once again, one day that beauty is going to go away. And if all that person leans on or all you thought about was their beauty and the day comes when they no longer look that way, you more than not may become resentful of your decision and cheat on this person or say you should have never been with this person. And so for me, the foundation has to be education.
Fair.
And education doesn't mean she had to go to college and stuff like that, but I'm looking at what you look like on the inside.
I get that. Let's give it this.
And also, I just want to say that, like, ladies, if you feel like you like a 4, 5, 6, like, Poppy can get you a 7, 8, 9. I could turn. I know. Little peanut butter sandwiches and the ramen. I get you a little weight. Then we start working out.
For me to partner, 7.5 plus in the looks category. 7.5 plus.
Natural or like she can get work done?
Depends on the word. Only because I just recently found out that sometimes I don't even really know. So. I thought those movies were real, baby.
If it looks real enough that you can, get past without us knowing, I think that works. I think that right there, that doesn't.
I'll say it like this: I cannot have a ignorant or dumb partner, but I got enough brains for both of us. So if she has a level head on her shoulders, she has decent thinking ability. She don't have to be the smartest tool in the shit.
And for those who gonna come at us and be like, "Oh, you ain't all that in a bag of chips," I'm a 6.9, baby. But when I had tequila, I turned to 9.6. You know what I'm saying? Dinner for 2.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I have a level of where I think that I am on a good day, and
beauty or education.
Beauty.
Thank you, fellas. This is something that
again, I am not dating for partnership, so
I got you. This is going to be a little bit more serious. So once again, tap in with us, lock in. You have to ask yourself, is this person someone I want to have a child with? Because if this is not somebody that you think you can or should have a child with and be successful, you should not have that child.
Fair.
You need to also ask yourself, fellas, Are you prone to cheating, or do you prefer to have options on standby at all times?
That's a good one. That's a good conversation.
Because I'll tell you this. I have been in a few relationships where I just had options.
Are you prone to cheating, Will?
I no longer am. And I know
What changed?
What changed? I didn't want to be like my biological father.
That's real.
He recently had back surgery, and he's got like 7 kids, and really none of them called him. And he's got like probably paid close to $100,000 in alimony. And
what does that have to do with cheating?
He has kids because okay.
That's all. I'm only asking.
Here's an answer to your question. I was born in March. I'm 94. I have a brother, and we do not have the same mother, who was born in May of 94.
Oh. Yeah.
So, and I think that there's a lot of things where...
And he was with your mom?
How am I supposed to know? I was just a seed swimming.
Like, you never talked to him about it?
I don't think they were ever together the together that I define.
Okay.
And so...
That's the only reason I ask, because that differentiates cheating and...
Cheating, and I think cheating comes from a place of being a child. You can't talk it out with somebody. You don't have the balls to break it off amicably. So then you go behind. Now, when I say cheating, I'm talking about y'all have both committed to not doing anything else with anybody else. And everyone has...
Cheating is a respect thing at the end of the day.
Cheating is a respect thing. And so if you cheat on somebody, that means you really don't... Now, if you guys are drifting apart, that's different. But I think at that point, I'm open enough to address that. So you need to know if you are a cheater. And I no longer am. And I think it's because I understand that I have options. And
post 25 or pre 25? I give you some leeway pre 25 on cheating. I
post. Well, I would say only really dated like post 25. Post 25.
I think after the age of 25, you start understanding like, hey, if I cannot functionally be with this person and not step out, I just shouldn't be with them.
Yeah.
And that was like...
Are you a cheater?
I have.
Currently, right now. The last two.
No.
The last two, okay.
No. But that's for 2 reasons, though. Because I was very reluctant to get in those relationships. And once I got into those relationships, I was like, all right, cool, I'm in. And once I realized I wasn't in, I ended them. Whoopsie. And I think that's where you get to at a point where you say, I have made a decision. I am going to have some willpower to hold up to my decision that I made. And once I realize, hey, look, I don't want to do that anymore, I'm gonna leave.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're grown-ups. Everybody has their prerogative. It is what it is. And that's why I say pre-25, you're still a kid. You're dumb, like whatever. As you get older, you realize your actions that are selfish. And you're like, if I told this girl that I cared about her and I loved, it's about self-awareness and understanding self. That's the biggest thing I think people don't have and that they don't do, is that they don't understand themselves. They don't know what they want. So you have to know what it is you want, either for or not for, and then be intentional about doing said thing. Mm-hmm. And with intention, you tend to not cheat. So like when I was with my ex, I told her from the beginning, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. And that was what we were on. So we were not in a committed relationship. She lived in a different city. I would go visit her, whatever. I didn't ask no questions. I told her not to ask no questions. Then we got to a point where it was like, all right, I feel like I want to make this more committed. And then we went down that route. And once I said those things, I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'm not doing any of this other stuff because I have committed to this person. I have made this decision. I'm going to ride this out. And it was until that was over that I was like, all right, cool. Let's end this. And then you go on about your way. But like cheating really comes down to you knowing yourself. I know myself now better than I've ever known myself, I would hope. And I know what I want and I know what I don't want. I like the variety pack.
Yeah. there's nothing wrong with.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with
Being honest about it and telling people who I meet, hey, look, I like a variety pack. And if you choose to engage with me, know that I am single and I enjoy my variety pack. And you can do your thing too.
Yeah. One of the hardest pickup lines you could ever have, fellas, is you showing your test results and having nothing. And you're going to need that if you're going to have options.
I don't think it's a pickup line. I think that's cool, but I don't think that's a pickup line.
Okay, pickup line is the wrong word to use. But what I'm saying is, as something to help you close, like a pickup line can help you close.
Yeah,
right.
But that just adds a level of safety to it. But I think that's more for a partnership situation than it is for anything, because condoms are out there.
If you are in an open relationship and you are not using condoms, then you need to be able to have at least a back 90-day test results. And this is not something that I've made up. This is something that I saw from Mr. Boston off of like some VH1 thing. He had his test results at the door, like
ready.
You know what I'm saying? It's super gangster. So another thing, fellas, that you have to really think about is, and this is gonna get super personal. So once again, we're doing this with the highest level of respect. You gotta ask yourself: do you want to bear the baggage that your partner brings? Trauma,
and you will.
Past trust issues.
A partnership,
family issues, bad financial decisions. Do you want to be the one to have to be there? And sometimes they never get over it. So do you want to have to be the one to just take it? It is something that happens. And I think when you find somebody that you love so much, you'll say, yeah, I'll take that, because they're also going to be taking yours. But more times than not, men, we talk to each other or we hold things in, so we're not really getting it out to our partner. And then I think one of the biggest, if not the biggest, are you okay with paying for you and her, which is what happened back in the day, but you don't receive the same things that those men received back in the day? I think women nowadays have as many rights as men, if not more, and I'm happy with that. I think it should be 50-50 across the board. I think the inverse to that, though, is that women will have more options because they have a smaller time frame. By 30, women lose a lot of their eggs. And by 35, men are just starting to get into their wealth, get into their career. So once again, you got to ask yourself, am I okay with paying for everything, working 16 hours, and then coming home and cooking or helping the kids with what they need help with homework-wise or sports-wise? Because, I'm not saying the old way of doing things was better than now, but I think both parties back in the day knew what they were getting into. I don't think nowadays this same conversation is had because we are meeting people online instead of in the wild. And so, once again, I think if you love somebody or you're just okay with doing that, like I'm okay with working 16 hours a day and coming home and cooking. But we have friends who like complain to us. And, I start to think, well, did you ever have signs that this would be the way? And usually more times than not, they'll say, well, yeah, I kind of knew.
Yeah.
So
most of it's the change up.
Yeah.
Relationships are an ebb and flow, but it's when the big juxtaposition of change up happens that you start having to break down a relationship. From my experience, I don't start anything at the beginning of a relationship. I'm not going to continue throughout the relationship. I'm not a big car door opener. That's just a very base level thing that I'm just like, it's not my forte. I'm not good at it. I know some girls are like, oh, last guy, he opened every single car door for me. And I'm like, that's great. How'd that end? Oh, he cheated on me. Okay, great. It's not an indicator.
He was opening more than your car.
He was opening, exactly. It's not an indicator of anything. I remember this girl vividly, and she used to say that all the time. And I'd be like, okay.
Well, the last girl I dated, she gave me head every morning.
Exactly. Like, okay, get the fuck out of here. Anyway. But I won't start anything that I won't continue throughout the relationship. Will I open some of your car doors? Of course. I will open some of your car doors till the day we die. I'm not going to never open your car door, and I'm not always going to open your car door. And I think that's the thing. I learned this when I was in high school. I used to tell my girlfriend every time we got off the phone, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Did you ever used to fall asleep on the phone?
Yeah.
Bro, one time I did that with the house phone.
Oh, baby.
My mom like in the morning, who the fuck were you on the phone with for 5 hours?
Yeah. Used to fall asleep on the phone.
Then called her mom. And after that, she dropped me out of her top 8 of MySpace.
That's serious.
Tiny,
That's serious.
you kissed the homie at Jelly Beach. Where players get chose, so I'm good, baby.
But don't let nobody tell me my hair ain't luxurious.
Yeah, I'm gonna get at you before I die. But, I don't know.
Oh,
But back to what you were saying.
no, but yeah,
The expectation.
The expectation will be set.
Mm-hmm.
And once you set the expectation, it's really hard to go back from that. And once it changes, then it is perceived that there is a problem. Because the time that I didn't tell her that I loved her when I got off the phone, our relationship was like our relationship was rocky because she was like, "What's happening? Like, you didn't tell me you love me." And I was like, I just didn't say it. And I learned that moment, don't start anything that you're not going to continue. And a lot of times guys do this. They will love bomb girls. They will start doing these extravagant things, sending her flowers and doing all this type of stuff. And then when you
Have her. And you stop doing
and you
things
stop
like,
doing those things that you got her with,
mm-hmm.
then you're like, that's when the issue comes. That's when the change up comes.
I'm gonna keep it real, fellas. Some people don't deserve flowers. They deserve chocolate. They deserve letters. You know how I got this girl in college one time? I made up a fake company called FFF, Flowers for Friends. I literally made a fake Word document, and at the bottom, I just made like a little cutout. And then I had a clipboard because I used to work at Ralph Lauren in San Marcos. And I went to her job with flowers. And I was like, hey, someone got you flowers. Can you please sign for them? When I tell you the brownie points that got me, ridiculous. Amazing. And then guess what happened?
But
My homeboy was like, yo, we used to run a train on her. And I was like, bro, you can go ask her. And this is after he almost tried to fight somebody downtown. And then he... Yeah, he was like, yo, let's
used
go.
to run a train on her.
He wanted me to ask a woman if we could have intercourse with her at the same time. I said, you're crazy. You go ask her yourself. Got mad at me, gave me a Negro mush while he was walking out of my apartment room. She's on the bed. She sees it. So then I proceed to use the paddle that I had painted like plank, and I basically cut his face open. Statute of limitations is already over. But at the end of all this, she ends up consoling this man and putting a bandage on his forehead.
He had a long game.
I did not tell her. What he said.
Yeah, he had a long game.
She ends up leaving. He ends up throwing one of my favorite cups. It's a cup that I had secretly taken in a to-go box out of a Pluckers, you know, those big beer ones. Yeah, he threw that. And my boy comes home, my boy John, shout out John. John noticed, comes home to see glass all over the floor. She's gone. And I spent $17.75 on flowers. Should have just got her chocolate.
Man, you lost me when you said he was like, we used to run a train on her.
No. He asked if we could.
Oh, but you said he said they used to.
No.
Oh.
He asked me if we could.
Okay.
And I said, you go ask her.
Interesting.
And instead of asking her, he got mad and mushed me in front of her.
Y'all young niggas are different, bro. This
was Texas State, bro. Also, this was 2015, 16. So this was 8 years ago. I'm 22. Yeah, I guess very different. But I say that to say, some women do deserve flowers. Some women do deserve having their door open. And some don't.
I used to tell my ex, I was like, I'm not going to start anything that I'm not going to continue, because when I do these things for you, I want them to mean something.
Mm-hmm.
When I get you flowers, I want you to know that I was thinking about you and I got you flowers because it meant something. Not just because, I get my girl flowers every Friday.
Yeah, and I just want to say,
and if it means something to you, if you're doing it because it means something to you to get her flowers every Friday, do it. Just don't set an expectation that you're not going to continue.
Exactly. And the reason I say some women don't deserve flowers is because I've gotten flowers many times other than that situation, and I'd come back and they're dead. And I feel like it's what's money. Whereas if
Yeah.
I know you like chocolate, you're gonna eat the chocolate. And if you don't eat the chocolate, I'm not gonna be tripping.
That used to be my thought process too.
You know what I'm saying?
I used to be like, I want to get you something that you're gonna use, like a pot.
So you could cook for him. That's crazy. All right. And then really one of the reasons that we did this for you is because personally speaking, you know, a lot of fathers are in the lives of their kids. It's just dead, jail, new family, whatever the case. And so we hope that you kind of got some game that can help you along the way. Once again, if you have questions, man, send those questions in. We weren't looking to dog women or make them feel bad or diss them. We just wanted something for you that was made by people like you that can hopefully help you along your journey. So before we go, I got a couple questions for AK. AK, why is it so much easier for a woman than it is for a man
To what?
to find a partner?
I don't think that's true at all. I think it's very tough for women out there right now.
I love it. And look, that wasn't my question. That was just somebody's question.
Yeah, I think it's from the consensus that I have, I think it's a lot. I think two things are happening right now. Women want relationships, and men are realizing that they don't have to be in them.
I agree.
It is a male world right now when it comes to things, because you have so many women out here who can just, you got OnlyFans, you got Instagram.
There's a small group of women taking up the vast majority of men's interests.
Correct. So for right now, if you are the average woman who has an average job, who has an average existence, that's being overcast by every Instagram thought and every OnlyFans.
I want you. He want no.
No. It's not even about me wanting them. It's just they're a dime a dozen. It's like they're like it's my Instagram is inundated with just stuff like that. I had to get off Instagram so much because you're just like, who are you? Who's this 19 girl showing her boobies on the internet?
Rhymes with average?
What?
The baddest. And the baddest are the average. I'll tell you something, fellas, right now. Don't believe follower count equating with good times.
Yeah.
In the bed.
Because most of those people are unhappy. Most of these women are unhinged. So don't get me wrong. But like,
because you would be disappointed. You'd be like, man, she only followed 400 people. She got 4,000 followers. And then all of a sudden you're like,
as a male who has a little bit of wits about him and a little bit of understanding and even the tiniest bit of charisma and knowing how to have a conversation, you can go. It can go a long way.
For sure.
Right now, where we're at in society.
If you have no kids, no felonies, an all right job,
yeah,
and you have your own place.
And that's why I went back to what I was saying in the beginning. You are the catch.
Caveat.
You are the catch.
Caveat.
You are the catch.
And then, excuse me, can you treat a woman like a queen?
Can you treat a woman like a king, a queen?
Can you treat every woman like a queen?
Can you treat every woman like a queen?
Is every woman a queen?
Every woman is not queen material. But
every male is not a king.
That's true. That. But I also think about it like this. You can say for instance, you treat your woman like a queen. What is your role? Who are you as far as treating her like a king? Are you a king treating her like a queen? Because that's here.
Yeah.
Or are you a jester treating her like a queen?
Ooh.
Or are you a pawn treating her like a queen?
Or are you?
There's different levels to it.
Or you pocket jacks. If you're pocket jacks against queens, brother, you in trouble.
So the question is, can every person be absolved of their past?
I think will every person accept? Some people won't accept. Some males, some people won't accept. Even if you treat them as good as you can, they won't accept the fact that you're treating them better than what they feel you should be treating them, and that can become an issue.
Like, you mean some people don't know how to be treated well?
Yes.
Yeah. That's true.
Because in the past they weren't treated well, and those experiences stuck with them. So now when you are treating them well, they
don't know how to receive it. Yeah. Some people don't know how to receive good.
Growing up is the wrong way to growth. Growth is the better word. They don't know how to grow, right? Yeah. You're no longer with that guy who beats you. You're no longer in that place.
So you don't have to operate in that space.
But you also don't need to still act like that.
And one of the things that I will say is that find out early on what some of people's triggers are, because you'll find out that you could be a trigger. You could be a trigger to somebody and not even know it.
Oh my God.
You could be a trigger to somebody and not even know it.
Find out what will make them yell. If you disagreeing with them makes them say, I'm frustrated, I want to end this conversation, speed out of that apartment complex. Okay? Block numbers, change states.
Yeah, it just may not be a good space.
And also, if they talk with their hands, red flag. Not yellow, red flag. All of this and that, because eventually this and that turns into this.
That's not true.
It does.
I talk with my hands.
But you don't.
I'll say this from a communication and speaking in front of people. That's not an indicator. To each his own, but that's not.
Also, what I mean by talking to their hands is if they hit you.
Okay, that's different from talking with your hands.
No, that's talking with your hands.
Okay. All right. You didn't say that. You said this. Yeah, you said it leads to that, but that's not.
It does.
I feel like we're confusing people. I don't want to confuse nobody.
Males, I want you.
If she puts her hands on you in a very casual way, she'll put your hands on you in a very non-casual way.
If she points her finger like this to you,
she's aggressive. That just means she's aggressive. I like.
And she hits, bro. Red flag. That's what. No. I okay. I like that in quantities.
I kind of want my girl. I kind of want to know she might crash out on me.
That's what you.
I don't like it. I look. I'm not looking for a partner again.
Word of the day. TOXIC. Word of the day. All right. Last question for Alan. You catch your significant other cheating. What do? Walk in. She getting just back shots in your bed.
When you say cheating, is it we have an understanding that we're not...
You've caught your significant other that you're in a monogamous relationship with having sex with somebody in your bed. You're walking on that.
Why? Why are they having sex? I got questions. I'm curious.
So you go say, excuse me, man. Real quick. Okay.
Listen, I'm going to open the door. Like, again, because it comes down to respect. Bro. Are they in our bed?
Yes.
That's disrespectful. She's there. She's done.
She's not dead. He's not saying.
No, she's not dead. She's done. She's done. I didn't say dead. I said done.
Opposite. I said done.
I said done. I didn't say dead.
If you catch your significant other cheating, what you heard from him,
I'm out.
Yeah.
There's no argument. I'm out.
And that's the point. It doesn't need to turn physical. And no one needs to be assaulted, killed.
Yeah. You'll say more with saying less.
Yes. What do they call it? An act of rage, an act of love, bro. Just leave, bro. There's no reason that we should be killing each other over females when there are more females in the world than men. Okay, it's crazy. Trouble, who is a rapper from Atlanta, who I don't know the full story, but what I do know is that he was at a woman's house, or a woman was at his house. I believe he was at her house, and then another man comes, and Trouble gets buried in the ground. Fellas, we do not need to kill each other over these females. Yeah, especially a female who is not yours.
Also, if you're going to cheat, do it at your home, not theirs.
Do it in a club bathroom.
Get a hotel.
No, hotels can be looked at in credit cards. No one's got a hotel bathroom unless...
I guess I'm thinking
unless you're stupid and putting a Snapchat.
Not cheating. I'm not condoning cheating. I'm saying if you're the side person.
Okay.
Don't be cheating. But if you're the cheatee.
Yeah.
Cheatee.
And another thing, don't get even and then stay with them, because that is just going to always be an air elephant in the room coming back.
Yeah.
Just go, bro.
When it gets complicated and it gets messy like that, you just got to end it.
You have options. And this is what I want to end this on.
Be done.
There's 330 plus million Americans. There's 168 million women, 165 million men. Black men, 20 million. And once again, 1.1 incarcerated, 1/3, which is 6 million, are felons. 25% of black men, 20 to 29.
Just for the math, that's 8 to 9% of the population. Just want to let you know that. Black men make up 8 to 9% of the population.
Now, that is a great point. 25%
in America.
25% of black men, 20 to 29, have a kid. So that's about 4 million. 22% of black men have a degree, so it's about 4 million. So based on these stats, 20 million minus the incarcerated, minus the felons, and minus those with a kid, that's 20 to 29, because 4 million was the same for both having a kid and having the degree. 8.9 million black men out of 330 million total people don't have a kid, don't have felonies, and have some sort of degree in something. So by doing that math, what I'm trying to say, fellas, specifically black fellas, is that for every one of us in that category with no kids, no felonies, and some sort of degree, there's 18.99 women. That's 168 million divided by the 8.9. I do believe those are the two quantifications that I use to do that math. But basically, there's 168 million women, right? And there's about 18.99 women per guy who makes that category, just as a black guy. So stop killing other men over women. Stop beefing. Stop fighting. I was told players get chose. They said we don't chase them, just replace them. Change them like the TV station. I'm too player. Keep it player. Real smooth. I'm a dude who keep it player. There's no reason that we need to be killing each other, beefing with each other, throwing each other under the bus. When you know your value, when you know your worth, you're able to move correctly. If you are serious about a woman, you need to ask yourself some of those questions, because if you don't ask them now, you may find the answer later and it be one that you do not like, but it's too late because you're already, 10 deep. And then finally, Alan, for a guy who's with a girl, they have a kid and they've been trying to work it out, but it's just not going to work out, and he knows he doesn't want to be with her, what suggestion would you give to this guy?
Say it one more time. Guy?
I'm with a girl. We have a child. It's not working out. And I don't want to marry her. But there's a kid. The kid's 6.
Man. The kid is insignificant to staying together.
Mm-hmm.
The kid is insignificant to staying together.
Some people stay together for children.
Yeah, that's silly. Co-parenting is the most important part.
Mm-hmm.
Living under the same house and being miserable and showing that to your child does way more harm than stepping away and co-parenting properly.
Facts.
If you are able to, if you're like, hey, we don't hate each other, but we're just not each other's partner, so we're going to stay together for the kid, we're going to be here, we're going to do this, that's one thing. But once you start showing, stepping out, treating each other terribly, it becomes a bad environment to raise a child, and you should just exit it. Because things that I remember more vividly from my parents getting divorced when I was 5 were the times when they were really bad. And these are memories that I think I have. I could be making this shit up, but memories are fleeting. I remember specific instances where I remember them being bad. But the more bigger parts about it is when they weren't together, things were calm. Things were cool. And both of my parents cared about me. And both of my parents loved me. And they took care of me. And they both showed up. And I think that was the difference. And I think one of the things I thought about my dad growing up was just because you didn't understand the situation. And having those conversations with your child at a young age is more important than anything. Like when I was young, I knew that my parents got divorced. I knew that I didn't really know the reason why until I got older. But my mom never bad talked my dad. My dad never bad talked my mom. And that was huge.
That was a respect thing.
It was a respect thing.
Because you don't see that these days.
Yeah, my mom respected my dad. He was not her person, but she respected him as my dad.
Mm-hmm.
She never talked bad about him. She basically was like, your father is your father, and you will make your own opinions of him. And I did. And then I got to know him as a grown-up, as I got older, and some of the things that you have just an assumption of, you learn, and you're like, oh, I never knew the details behind that. Like, my parents got divorced when I was 5, and for a long time, I thought the divorce. I mean,
mine would never.
I don't think that's
test tube, baby.
But yeah, like they got divorced when I was 5. They had been married for 13 years, so they were together for a while before they had me. And thinking on when they got divorced and what my interpretation of them getting divorced was oh, my dad cheated and then they got divorced. But there's more to it than that. When you start having relationships, when you start being in relationships, and you start seeing like how relationships go, and you're like, this stuff is difficult. It's intricate. You learn, and so then you start going back. And the biggest thing that I ended up learning from my parents, probably in the last 2 years, was that the cheating was a symptom
That's a bigger problem.
of the bigger issue.
Mm-hmm.
And the bigger issue was they just grew apart. They grew apart because my parents got together. They were both Baptists. My mom decided that she wanted to transition into being Jehovah's Witness, which is a very big life change. You stop celebrating holidays, you stop celebrating birthdays, you can't hang out with certain people. It's huge. And when you meet somebody and y'all are like, hey, this is what we're on, even if it's like down to the basic level, like, hey, look, we meet and we're together, we get together and we both eat meat. And then one person says, you know what, I'm going to transition into being a vegan. Okay, you have to have a partner that says, all right, cool, I want to embrace that journey with you. I want you to cultivate that journey with you. Maybe I don't want to become vegan, but I'll support you in your journey. Or y'all end up growing apart. And then the relationship doesn't work anymore.
And so I think what he's saying, if you haven't picked up on it, is that one of the things I'm talking about with family values is religion. And it was spoken about, but I guess now hey, is there a chance that things change? And if things do change, will you still respect what I believe and not make me change so much to be leaning towards to have to follow you as you're not leading on this?
Exactly. Can that be your journey? And I support you in that journey without walking that journey with you. Because partnership doesn't necessarily have to be like we walk the journey together. Partnership just means that when you have something that you have going on, I'm here for you. Mm-hmm. It may not be my thing, but I'm here for you and I support you in it. I'm not going to bash you down about it. And it doesn't have to become my thing. Yeah. If it does, great, dandy, awesome. But if it doesn't, I still will support you and I want the best from you.
I appreciate it, big dog. Last thing I will say is, fellas, I was raised by a man who was not my father. I call him Pops now. So there is no problem with raising someone else's. I think the biggest diss you could ever give a man is you didn't take care of your kids. I think no matter how rich and successful you get, you can't come back from it. I think that's why Kendrick hones on that when he, is going at his opposition, if you will, Drake. And so if you are with a woman who has a child, I think having that conversation of what role do you want men to play is important, because she may be co-parenting already and be okay. But there's no reason to not be with someone if you do love them because they have a child already. And I just say that I say that because I see a lot of guys who were raised by another man feel some type of way. And I think if you feel some type of way, I think you need to have a conversation with your biological father about why he wasn't there, because there's no reason why if you were raised successfully by another man, you can't do the same.
Fair.
That's my last point. Your last point?
I think my last point for any young person out there who is just navigating the partnership lifestyle or singular lifestyle, whatever lifestyle, figure out who you are. Before you connect yourself to a person, before you attach yourself to another human being, you need to know who you are and what you want out of your life. And that will help you go so much further, because you cannot be a partner to somebody unless you know what you want and what you need out of a partnership. And that's it. I think if you can figure out that part, the rest kind of will just fall in place. Be open to communicate about it. Be true to self.
I love that album.
Be true to self.
True to self.
Is it an album? What's that about?
Bryson Tiller.
Yeah.
Also, fellas, if you're playing poker, you need to know if you're going to run it once or twice. Don't be, I'm all in, call, what you want to do, whatever you want to do.
Run it once.
One time.
One time for the one time.
We'll be back soon. Appreciate your time. And, if you see us in Austin, come say what's up. If you see us in Dallas, Houston,
Anywhere.
Vegas,
You see this crash out.
Atlanta. Don't do that. Don't do that to him. Don't do that to me. He likes looks. I like what's on the inside.